Live, you're watching KOIN 6 News.
One industry expert has penned a book with quite the hefty title that I happen to love. Wine for Normal People, a guide for real people who like wine but not the snobbery that goes with it. Hey,
I love this so much.
that sounds like you and I.
Yeah. Author Elizabeth Schneider has a different approach to wine, resonating with everyday enthusiasts all around the world. She joins us live this morning with her expert advice. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think a lot of us are like this. You know, I love going to our local wineries or restaurants, but when they start talking about all the
you look at the wine menu and
that comes with it.
I get nervous.
Yes, yeah. Like I just want a good tasting wine. So what is your book about? What is wine for normal people?
Well, it's basically deciphering and translating all of the terms that wine people use, because like any other hobby or like any other thing that you have to learn in order to get into, wine is definitely, there's a barrier to entry, and in order to get in, you've got to know a little something. So really the book is split into two sections. One is vocabulary, well, three. One is vocabulary, one is geography, which is the other thing that's just so very important. And then the third is practical stuff like how to shop for wine and good food and wine pairings and things like that, etiquette, things like that.
Okay, so speaking of how to shop for wine, I know I spend so long just kind of looking at labels in the grocery store. And sometimes I buy just based on a really cool label.
Yeah.
But there's always something so satisfying about finding like a really, really good deal on a bottle of wine at Trader Joe's that is fantastic, but it's like a good value. How do you find those wines that are good value?
Well, I think for where you are, you're going to be looking at some great Oregon wines, and you're going to be able to get great value for those. For people in other parts of the country, we sometimes have to look abroad because places like Chile, Spain, Portugal offer really, really great prices and fantastic wines for that price. So it depends on really where you are. But I think the most important thing is not always to pay attention to the labels, but to pay attention maybe to some of the descriptions, things that you like, and developing your own sense of, well, if I like this, maybe I might like this. And a great way to do that is to support your local wine shop, because those people are super knowledgeable and they can help you get things that you like.
Yeah. And so which regions around the world have you found that provide the best value, and why is that?
Really, a lot of it is in Europe, and some of it is in South America. So in Europe, Portugal, Spain, and it used to be southern France, but unfortunately there's a giant tariff right now on stuff like that. But because in Europe, people are land rich, not money rich. So they already own that land. If you own land, you don't have to pay mortgage. And they also get some subsidies from the government. They're also viewed as agriculture. And unfortunately, for some reason in the United States, it's the Tax and Trade Bureau that winds up legislating on wine here, but it really is agriculture. So they wind up getting a lot of benefits of being an agricultural product. So Europe has that. And then also in South America, there's great prices too. Again, lots of land is owned, and there is less, the labor is less expensive.
Okay, I feel like I get distracted sometimes with Oregon wine because there's just so much here. So I need to broaden my horizons and look globally a little bit. Now, I have some friends who can look at a wine list and go, "Oh, 2017, that was a good year." And I wonder, how do you know this? What do you personally look for when you're selecting a bottle of wine?
Well, the first thing I always look for is region. Like I said, that is so very important. It's really important to know where the wine is coming from. I also like to support small producers, so I try to stay away from the big guys if I can. And what kind of grapes it is, what kind of wine. And I think about the occasion that I'm shopping for too. That's super important. The wall of wine is terrifying, but if you have an idea of why you're in there, you can really narrow it down. Like even if you can just decide, okay, I want a rosé, you don't look at any of the red, you don't look at any of the white, you just go focus. And that can really, really help you. So trying to figure out, again, what the occasion is, what you like, what region, and then vintage comes after. Vintage is, wine is farming again. So if in a given year the weather doesn't go great, then that's why the vintage matters. That's why that's on that bottle.
Okay. Well, I love that you talk about pairings. Emily and I were just talking about this. We listened to the Conan O'Brien podcast. He had Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl on there recently, who talked about how before their concerts, they always have KFC and champagne, sparkling wine. And apparently that is like a fantastic like party in your mouth happening.
Yes.
So yeah, it's good to know like the real, the normal people
Right,
pairings.
what you're trying to pair for it with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for your wine wisdom. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.